Hello, everyone. I'm Lindy Stone, and I'm from the Greenhill network in South Sheffield. I'm really sorry that a misunderstanding means that I can't actually be with you in person now. So I thought I'd record this and send it to you in the hope that you can maybe watch it. Um, okay, so Greenhill is a small local group. It's a network, really, of different groups operating in and around our area. We originally saw it as actually our political ward. I'll come back to that. And it was a group of people who just wanted to do things about the climate and nature emergency, basically through local action. And our tagline is, or our motto, or whatever is, helping to tackle the climate and nature emergencies. So we do lots of different activities, and there's no single focus. We're prepared to think about anything and explore any ideas that sort of helped us to meet that mission. We've had lots of work done that we've led on to do with green spaces and nature and so on. We've had various talks and films, that sort of thing. But sustainability waste has always been an issue that has exercised people both on the sort of steering group and more widely within the community. So one of the very first activities that we were involved with is that we had a TerraCycle collection pop box that the local dentist paid for, that we had in the library, and it collected used toothpaste tubes and used toothbrushes and that sort of thing. And it drew attention to waste, sustainability, recycling, that sort of thing. A group coalesced around that was, we've never fully decided what we're calling it, but repair, reduce, recycle, 3 R's or 4 R's, different ways in which we look about it. And they quite early on wanted to explore the idea of repair cafes. One of the key members had friends who ran one somewhere else in the country, and they'd visited that and been elsewhere. And he and in fact it was a couple, were really excited by the prospect of the sort of thing that you could do there. So our first our first repair cafe was probably just a single half day event, much easier to organise, that we called a bike MOT, and we actually did a couple of those outside with volunteers who people brought the bikes along, and then they were brought up to date with just to check in, really, are the brakes okay, how do you mend a puncture, that sort of thing. So that was our first toe in the water, I suppose. But the full repair cafe idea was taken on much more thoroughly, probably after a couple of years in which we'd been operating. We've been going for nearly 5 years now. The International Repair Cafe Network was enormously helpful. They've got loads and loads of information about how to set up and the things that you need to consider. And we also had a repair cafe in Chesterfield that somebody knew about that we visited, and then one of their representatives visited us and the group and talked about the ins and outs and what you can do and what you can't do. They were also really helpful in terms of we rely entirely on donations, and they gave us 150 quid to help us get started with some of the basics. We also had to upgrade our public liability insurance, and there were one or two other costs I'll come back to. So we needed a venue, and we have a church in our central area with a church hall, and we negotiated a good price to use that on a Saturday morning. I think we signed up for 3 to begin with, and that was our 150 quid gone from the other group. And then we needed to seek volunteers. Within our small, tight group, we already had somebody who could do implement knife sharpening, tool sharpening. That's been popular all the way through. And somebody who could do some sewing repairs. That also has been popular all the way through. We didn't have anybody with the specific skills of working on electrical items. And we did have an email list. We've got an email list of about 300, and we have Facebook postings of up to 1,000. We use those channels to try and encourage some people to step forward to volunteer. But we probably had the most luck by getting a little feature in our local free magazine for Sheffield 8, which is the area we're in, called Activate. And they're keen on local stories. I mean, they have a lot of advertising in them, but they're keen on local stories. And we talked to them about what we wanted to do and that we needed some more volunteers. And we actually got 3 or 4 people responding to that from just outside our key area, actually, but that doesn't really matter. And so we had a couple of people who had quite a lot of electrics experience. And one of those was so keen to help that he actually paid for himself to go through a PAT test. So, because we have to have every electrical item checked by somebody who's got PAT testing qualification and equipment. Indeed, we've paid for one other to go through that testing ourselves as well. So we brought together our people, we had our venue, we knew that we wanted it to be a community event, a cafe as well, be a friendly thing. So we had the cafe bit sorted out, we had volunteers for all of these things, and there we were all set up. We had our paperwork, we knew how we were going to approach it all, we'd taken advice from these different groups, and then in almost 2 years ago, actually, exactly April 2024, we went live with our first event. So there we are, all on a Saturday morning. We always run them 10 till 1. And, would anybody come? And they did. Loads of people came. And from the start, it's been really popular and really, really nice events. So all the prep and all the sort of nervousness worked out really well. So we have, on that first event, and they've more or less been the same. There's sewing repairs, sharpening, general household, and then some electrical things as well. All running alongside, tables set out for people to have tea and coffee and cakes that have been made by somebody. It's funded entirely by donations. Nobody pays for anything, but every time we have covered our costs every time. So I remember on the first event, as well as sewing and sharpening, somebody brought in a table lamp that was flickering on and off that got mended. 2 people brought in hoovers that no longer worked, which turned out to be completely bunged up, both of them. And somebody brought a pushchair that they couldn't get to close. On some occasions, it's simply that people don't have the tools. Our volunteers bring their tools with them, and very often somebody brought in a table, a small table that fitted perfectly into a particular corner that the grandson had jumped on and broken the leg off, and she didn't have the way of mending it. So she could only have been in with the repairer for about 5 minutes, and it was sorted, and she was utterly thrilled. So lots of small things come in. The majority of them can be repaired. Some of them can't be repaired, and basically the repairers, we call them fixers, the fixers' advice is just no, it's not going to happen now, it's not going to work. And people feel quite good to know that they haven't it is now to throw away. It can't be repaired, so end of that. And then of course there's a middle ground where if you purchase a particular part, it could be repaired. You can purchase a particular part, it could be repaired by you. YouTube videos are incredibly useful, and our fixers often point people towards those. And sometimes it's been, if there's something to be repaired, you could buy this part. If you bring it back, we can fix it in for you. And that has happened on a few occasions too. So we have, actually, I'm going to tell you just one particular one that made me very happy. So some of it's about saving money. Some of it's about waste and not wanting to throw things to waste. And some of it's about sentimentality. I remember an older couple who brought in a clock, and it was basically plywood. It had some picture on it, and it was no longer working. And clearly, it wasn't anything of huge value, but it clearly meant a lot to this couple. And when the fixer looked at it, it was only that the battery bit at the back was no longer working, and he told them where they could buy a new one. And 2 months later, they came back to the next repair cafe, and he mended it for them. It clearly meant such a lot to them, and I think that gave me quite a it was quite a heartwarming moment. But it also made me think, well, actually, it's not all about saving money. It's not all about saving the planet. Some of it is about just keeping something that you love. We have now had 10 events. Some of them we've had bike MOTs running alongside. We are now looking to expand into our neighbouring area. Greenhill is 75% privately owned, 25% social housing. Low Edges across the road from us is probably the opposite way around to that, and we really would like to support that area more. Of course, those people could cross the road and come to our venue at St Peter's Church in Greenhill, but they tend not to. So we're wanting to expand our network, do more repair cafes actually within Low Edges, and importantly to recruit fixers from the Low Edges community, because we know there's lots of people who've got the skills to do the sort of gentle repairs that we are doing, but they maybe wouldn't have the confidence to step forward and come along to come along to an event where they don't know people or in that way. So we've been really fortunate recently to have received a £20,000 award from the National Lottery from their Communities Fund to further the work that we're doing variously in the environmental. And one of the things that we're wanting to do is to do more repair cafes, and we're going to recruit somebody to help us to build the network within Low Edges. Anyway, repair cafes, many styles, different ways of working them. You'll work out what's best for you, but it's a lovely community event, and as well as being excellent for the planet. I hope that's covered things. Nikki, I'm sure, could give you my email address if you've got any particular questions. And again, I'm really sorry I couldn't make it to be with you in person. Thanks. Bye.